Dragons in the skies, fire from the boughs, wisdom flowing fast, ancient temples bow, mountains echo tales, ancestors crying loud, heroes of the past, legends worn proud. On golden silk roads, history unfolds, mystics in the night, secrets they hold, great walls shadow long, warriors in rows, in the courtyard's light, a lotus flower grows. Orchids in the wind, laughter from the light, truth within the sand, sages bathed in might. Tigers leap through time, rivers serpentine, harmony and chaos living by design. Phoenix rise anew, feathers burning blue, forest whisper soft, mind open and true. Scrolls of hidden art, sages they confide, ticking of the jade, time won't divide. Battles lost and won, emperors do reign, people marching on, dreams still remain. Peasant to the king, stories intertwined, every single soul walking a fine line. Orchids in the wind, laughter from the light, truth within the sand, sages bathed in might. Tigers leap through time, rivers serpentine, harmony and chaos living by design.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am the dust of the feet of God's servants, and I am not on stage. There we go. And only God is special. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's Tuesday. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. I hope your week's going good so far. Today we're going to be talking about nature versus nurture. Can nature be changed by nurture? And if it can nurture be changed by nature? If you're confused, don't worry about it. It will become evident sooner or later as to what the hell I'm talking about. Obviously, like usual, I am a bit of a mystery. Well, I am to myself sometimes, but to most people when I'm talking, they don't quite get what I'm saying until it's explained a little bit further. D's in the chat says, Diddy, good day. How about you? Yeah, very good, thanks. Very good, thanks. Busy day, but very busy day and very interesting. Lots of things happened. Continuously. Like, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And that's the way I like my days. I like them a bit varied. I like them a bit unpredictable. I like them a bit chaotic. I love a bit of chaos. Me, I do. But yeah, welcome back. So, to get started, let us... Oh, actually, let me do this first. I want to play a little game. I'd like to play a game. Don't worry, it's not like Saw. Well, I hope not anyway. I hope no one loses any body parts or anything, but we're going to play a quick game. Obviously, this will take a little while for it to happen because I want to make sure that I give everyone a chance to jump in and play. Alright, so I'm going to drop a link in the chat. This link will allow you to type in your name, and then you'll be sitting in the waiting area for everyone else to turn up. And once everyone's turned up, we'll play the game together. We'll play it together, and we'll see how everyone does. The topic of the game will be what it will be. I can't remember what game I loaded up, but it'll be an interesting topic. I think it was TV shows or movies. I think it was movies, because I like my movies. But yes, welcome back. You are back live with the Son of Perdition, aka the Son of God. I know that will jab a few people in the right place. But yeah, welcome back. So that's the link there for the game if you want to play. Obviously, no stress if you don't want to play. It is what it is. And also, I will drop the link for the StreamYard if anyone wants to come up and talk about the topic at hand. There we go. I won't pin the StreamYard yet. I'll leave Kahoot up. That's the website name. That's the name of the website, Kahoot. If you want to play the game, we'll play it together. D says, knuckle cheese sandwich with extra cheese for that one, DD. Yep, exactly. Always with the extra cheese. I like my cheese. I like it cheesy. Just like my jokes. But do you know what? I need to get that sound effect. In the meantime, I'm sure I could find a little joke drum online. Joke drum sound effect. Just so I've got something. I've been talking about getting a soundboard for a while, but honestly, it just wasn't that important to me. I was just more like about the quality of what I was saying rather than the jokes. I'm sure I can make a few bad jokes in the meantime. I don't need a soundboard for it, but it's always good. It's always good. It adds to the emphasis. You know, sometimes you could say, don't do that, or you could say, don't fucking do that. That one little word adds so much oomph to it. It adds so much oomph to it. There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. I'm here all week. Anyways, I'll keep that loaded and ready just in case. Oh, no, wrong one. Let's go back to that one. There we go. Yes, so today we're talking about nature versus nurture. What's more powerful, nature or nurture? You know, is your innate nature more powerful than your programming by the matrix? Or can you break free of the matrix programming and become you again? Become back to who you were supposed to be naturally. That's the question. I know what I think, but I want to know what you guys think. Nature versus nurture. Can nature be changed by nurture? And do you want it to be changed by nurture? That's another question. Some people will probably be like, yeah, no, nature alone. You know, some people are bad by nature, and then you want to teach them good habits. Or you say that everyone's good by nature and they learn the bad habits. So which side of the fence do you sit on? Or do you stand on the middle of the fence and you go, it's a bit of A and it's a little bit of B? It depends on the person. Are you a bit more nuanced? Let's see. Let's find out. But yeah, that StreamYard link is up if anyone wants to come up. Otherwise, I'll be talking to myself as I like to do. It's not going to be a long stream today, by the way, guys. Hence why I started early. I want to get off around, let's say 9 o'clock-ish. So we got about an hour and a half together. An hour and a half I thought would be plenty. So yeah, if you want to come up soon, or forever hold your peace. Alrighty, so let me just get the right screen up. Oh yeah, it's over here. Nope, not that one. That one. There we go. Cool. So yes, nature versus nurture. Are we all inherently good, or are we all inherently bad? You know, if you go by most religions, you'd go, okay, this is the thing. Religion's a bit funny because if you go to a Christian, he'll say, no, we're all good inherently, but we all are at the hands and at the mercy of Adam's first sin. You know, the first sin of eating from the fruit of good and evil. We're all sinners because of that original sin. So then that means that by nature we're all sinners. However, if you talk to a Muslim, they will say, actually, no, everyone's got an innate ability to know the difference between good and bad. Don't know what the Jews think on this, actually. That'll be interesting to find out. If there's a Jew on... we had Whaler. Whaler was a Jew, I think he said it was. Whaler, if you're about, let us know what the Jews think. Or I can ask Google AI. But I think it's more interesting to have conversations than just AI everything, you know. Because then I can always ask you questions. Let's ask AI anyway. Do Jews believe? Because they go along the lines of the Adam and Eve story. So I don't know if they adopt this whole original sin idea or if that is just very a Christian idea. Do Jews believe in innate nature? Judaism views nature as a creation of God, and that humans have a responsibility to care for it. Jewish tradition encourages people to observe and revere nature as a way to learn about God. That's cool, but that's not answering the question. Let me ask you about the Christians as well while I'm here. I might as well ask them about the Christians. Since this is just a solo show today. Yes, Christians believe in the innate nature of humans and that humans are born with a tendency to sin. Yeah, see, like I thought. They believe in the original sin concept, so everyone's born with an innate nature with a tendency to sin rather than a tendency to do good. And Judaism is unclear, and with Islam, like I said, they've got a thing called fitra, which means that they believe that everyone has the innate knowing of good and evil. But what do you think? What do you think? You know, are the Jews right? No, not the Jews. Are the Christians right or are the Muslims right? Or, like I said, do you think it's a bit of a mix? D says sin nature versus spiritual nature. Okay, so there's two natures, you're saying. Everyone's got two natures. Almost like Jesus, who had two natures. So everyone's like Jesus in that essence, that everyone's got two natures. They've got the sinful nature, which is the flesh, and then they've got the spiritual nature that wants to do good. Interesting. D says, born again, the spirit guides our flesh nature. D says, say someone comes to Christ, the spirit comes in and sanctification starts. Cool. D says, like, for example, a druggie, they come to Christ, no one tells them they have to give up drinking, but the spirit in them convicts them. You're not talking about the spirit of alcohol. You're talking about like the Holy Spirit, right? Because a lot of people decide to stop drinking when they're really drunk, but they don't remember it, or they don't stick to it when they're sober. That's a good question, actually. After the spirit of, or what do you call it? You just said the spirit. When the spirit comes in and sanctification starts, can they become sober off that? Or is it everlasting? An everlasting high? Because then obviously we come on to the question of, then why do people continue to sin after they've received the spirit? Or have they never received the spirit and they've faked it all along? It was all just a ploy. It was just a ploy to join a cult. Ooh, getting spicy. Ooh, that reminds me of The Mask. I don't know why. Spicy. The Mask. Let's watch a Mask clip. I'm sure it'll be something interesting. The Mask. I love The Mask. Jim Carrey. Smoking. Alright, let's go with... let's go with... let's just go with the first video that came up. It was that one. It's only a 2.5 minute video, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If you don't, you're on the wrong channel. Let me share the right screen. No, no sound is playing. Computer says no. Computer says no. Why does the computer say no? Let me just mess around with the settings, see if that changes anything. Otherwise, no. Well, it just played the thingy a second ago. The bottom. So there's not anything wrong with the settings. Maybe. Oh, have I muted it by accident? Let's have a look. I think I did. Let's try this. Nope, that don't work. Let's stop sharing and then try resharing. Yeah, don't know what's going on. Technical glitches, technical glitches. It's the Matrix attacking. They don't want you to see this clip. Apparently this clip is life-changing. Apparently. There we go.
That's correct, Wendy. We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, right.
I just got it. I just got why this came into my head. We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking. So once again, it's that nature versus nurture. We have that innate nature in us, but the nurture is the mask that we put on. Genius, you're a genius. Anyways, let's continue. Let's continue with this. I told you I'm a bit slow, but yeah, God's always got a plan. Spoken.
It's party time!
P-A-R-T-Y? 'Cause I gotta! I love it. Love it. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun. Oh, I love it.
Look, Ma! I'm roadkill!
Oh, I love that. Guess what? I found this out after the movie, obviously. I was watching some kind of reviews or something, and they were talking about Jim Carrey being amazing. These are like prosthetic teeth, fake teeth he had to put in his mouth for some of the scenes. But because he was wearing them, he ended up getting so good that he ended up being able to actually speak with them in. And they ended up filming a lot of his dialogue while he was wearing those fake teeth, which is a really amazing skill. Amazing skill. Like, because they were on top of his teeth, so they're like, talking like this, but with very good speech. But yeah, fantastic clip. Thank you. It illustrates how, obviously, when he's walking through the corridor, and the sign is there saying, "Quiet, please. Quiet, please." He could conform, or he could cause a bit of chaos. But yeah, I love it. I love it. Sometimes chaos is good. Sometimes chaos is good. And in Stanley Ipkiss's case, the character who wears the mask, it was a great thing. It was a great thing. You needed it in life. So sometimes life needs a bit of chaos. Life needs a little bit of chaos. And obviously also the idea about the masks. You know, you don't want to put on a mask and, you know, I am the son of perdition. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I entertain myself. I entertain myself half the time. But yeah, anyway, let's carry on with the chat comments. That was a nice little tangent. I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed that. D says they sometimes all of a sudden quit drinking, but sometimes the conviction condemning them. This is wrong. They slow down drinking, but haven't given up. But the spirit draws them out slowly but surely. D says I think Jim Carrey has become a Christian. I know he did go through like this radical phase where he had a really long beard and he was answering questions in interviews brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. I love the way he answers some of the questions. I think something that was along the lines of "What's your favorite character to play?" And he's like, "We're always playing characters, aren't we? In one way or another, we're always playing characters. Let's take off the masks." So I think a lot of these movies that he's done have kind of had an impact on his life as well, playing these different roles and seeing these different perspectives. You know why perspectives are so important now? You see how perspectives are so important? Not yet? Okay, you will one day. You will one day. Yeah, so, yeah, I love Jim Carrey. I don't know if he's become a Christian though. He might be like, let's Google it. Jim Carrey. Christian? Question mark? Actor Jim Carrey shares how suffering led to his salvation by accepting Christ. Oh, yeah, I guess he did. Oh, I guess he did. Interesting. I like Jim Carrey, but not enough to copy him. So, yeah, before you think it, D, before you even think it, it's not going to convince me. But it's interesting that he went down that road. After his little thing. Who knows? Maybe that's where I'll end up. Or maybe I'll be the worst son of perdition. The worst of the worst. D says, putting on mask put you into unrealistic world, takes you deep into what you really feel you are inside. But the world is pretty fake. You know? I think the world is pretty fake anyway. It's like, what's the difference between the inner you and the outer you? The inner you is your nature, whereas the outer you is just your character, your ego that you have on for the world. You know, it's the presentation you have for the rest of the world to see. But everyone's got that thing in them. So putting on the mask, put you into an realistic world, takes you deep into what you really feel you are inside. See, I don't think it takes you into what you are inside. I think in the way that people are in the Matrix in the world at the moment, they put on the mask to hide from who they are inside. You know, I want to reference another great movie now, because as soon as I said that they are hiding from themselves, a great quote came into my head. It was from The Matrix, which is another fantastic movie. Let me just share this screen. I'll probably get copyrighted for some of these things. So if you're watching live, congrats. You actually got to see the full version of what I'm trying to show you. If you're watching afterwards, yeah, you missed it. Go look up The Matrix, Know Thyself, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I know you're Neo. Be right with you.
You're the Oracle?
Bingo. Not quite what you were expecting, right? Almost done. Smell good, don't they?
Yeah.
I'd ask you to sit down, but you're not going to anyway. And don't worry about the vase.
What vase?
That vase.
I'm sorry.
I said don't worry about it. I'll get one of my kids to fix it.
How did you know?
Oh, what's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything? You're cuter than I thought. I can see why she likes you.
Who?
Not too bright, though. You know why Morpheus brought you to see me. So, what do you think? Do you think you are the one?
Honestly, I don't know.
You know what that means? It's Latin. Means know thyself. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Being the one is just like being in love. No one can tell you you're in love. You just know it. Through and through. Balls to bones.
Balls to bones.
Well, I better have a look at you. Open your mouth, say ah. Okay. Now I'm supposed to say, that's interesting, but then you say,
But what?
but you already know what I'm going to tell you.
I'm not the one.
Sorry, kid. You got the gift, but it looks like you're waiting for something.
What?
Your next life, maybe. Who knows? That's the way these things go. What's funny?
Morpheus. He almost had me convinced.
I know. Poor Morpheus. Without him, we're lost.
What do you mean? Without him?
Are you sure you want to hear this? Morpheus believes in you, Neo. And no one, not you, not even me, can convince him otherwise. He believes it so blindly that he's going to sacrifice his life to save yours.
What?
You're going to have to make a choice. In the one hand, you'll have Morpheus's life. And in the other hand, you'll have your own. One of you is going to die. Which one will be up to you? I'm sorry, kiddo, I really am. You have a good soul. And I hate giving good people bad news. Oh, don't worry about it. As soon as you step outside that door, you'll start feeling better. You'll remember you don't believe in any of this fate crap. You're in control of your own life.
Yep.
Remember? Here. Take a cookie. I promise by the time you're done eating it, you'll feel right as rain.
Anyway, literally, it was just for the know thyself bit that I wanted to play that clip, but it's such a good movie. I just had to keep watching it. Gives me chills every time I watch it. Love that movie. Fantastic movie. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the new one too. I really like the new one. I know a lot of people were shitting on it, but I actually really enjoyed the new one. I thought that was really good. Anyways, yeah, it's all about knowing thyself, you know, finding out who you are on the inside before all the programming on top, you know, like the TV programs and all this other stuff, or things that you've been taught in school of how to behave, how to think, how to, not even how to think, what to think. That's the big problem. That's the big problem with the programming. People don't realize it. They've been taught what to think. So because they've been taught what to think, they don't think for themselves, and they don't get a chance to know themselves. Know thyself, you know? It's the most important thing you could do. The most important you could do. Oh, Dee said, sorry, D said, can't hear Dee, volume low. Sorry about that, guys. I did try and turn it up from my end, but I think, yeah, it's on full blast on my side. I think it was just the way that video was recorded. It was just recorded with really low audio. It is what it is, though. It is what it is. It is what it is. D says, Dee, you already know you have the drawing of the spirit. Do I? Do I? I thought I was a devil worshipper. I thought I was, well, I thought I am the son of perdition. You know what I mean? I didn't think that you thought I had the spirit in me. I thought I had to get the spirit in me. But yeah, I know me. I know my heart. God knows my heart. But yeah. But do I know myself really? Do I? I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out one day. We'll find out one day. Catherine says, hi everyone. I think too much CGI has removed the realness of film. Even the storytelling becomes lost at times. I've seen all the Matrix films. Keanu Reeves is a close friend of Jim Carrey. Is he now? Ah, that's good. I like both of these actors. I love both of these actors. And there's another actor I really love. Oh my god. I was talking about him yesterday to a friend. Robin Williams. Oh my god, I love Robin Williams. And now I'm going to play a clip of Robin Williams now, because why not? I'm sure there's going to be a lesson in there as well. There's a lesson in everything. Let's go with... Oh, actually, there was a couple of movies that just came to my head, but this one is going to be the one I use. Let's go with that one. And then I'm going to play a song. Jeffrey, I see you're up backstage. Give me a few minutes and I'll bring you up. I just want to have my little fun with these little videos, if you can wait. Sir? Here we go. If anyone likes the Will Smith genie better than this Robin Williams genie, you can leave the stream right now. Okay? Please leave the stream right now. We will never get one. The music in this movie is fantastic as well. I just remembered a couple of songs. I remembered one before I played the clip, and then I just remembered another one now. I'm going to play the one that was before this clip, and the other one I just remembered now is that Prince Ali, something is he. No, no, no. I can't remember the exact words, but... Alright, I think that's pretty much the clip there. And now I'm going to play the song, and then I'll bring Jeffrey up for the chat. I saw it here. Yes, here we go. Friend like me. Hashtag not sponsored. Love a bit of Genie. Love a bit of Genie. So thanks for the reminder of Robin Williams, because that's the only thing that led me to Genie. Cool. Jeffrey, welcome back, buddy. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Busy day? Still waiting for the kids to come back?
Oh, yeah, they're at school right now for sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit earlier today, so hopefully you get a bit of a chance to talk before.
Yeah, I got a good hour and a half probably, and then I'll have to go.
Ooh, well,
I got to get a mother-in-law to a doctor's appointment.
Okay. That's being a good son-in-law. I've got only about 50 minutes, to be honest. I'm going to be ending the stream in about 50 minutes, so we'll have we'll have a little chat
50?
now. 50.
50?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, that's plenty of time. So yesterday you said you might be able to draw something up for me so that I can kind of show you my lineage within that Trinity that I was telling you about yesterday.
Yes, you did. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie, I'm so sorry, but I want to do that another day. Because I'm still processing everything you said, and I want to understand it a bit more before I actually.
And that's exactly why, like, putting it down on paper, just a couple points, will show you that split between the masculinity and the femininity. of eternal creator.
I'm sure it probably will, but I haven't set myself up for that today, unfortunately. That's why I did say yesterday that when I do a chill stream, which is I was hoping to do a chill stream today, which is basically where we could do anything and everything, like, and I'll set it up for the drawing stuff. But I haven't set up my system at the moment. I'd have to use a second computer in order to get the drawing facilities up, I'm afraid. So
Hey, it's okay, no big deal.
I'm so sorry, buddy. But did you have anything to say in regards to nature versus nurture, in regards to your perspective?
And can you repeat the question? Nature versus what?
Nurture.
Oh, nurture.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's definitely. I think it's definitely commingled situation. So nature will definitely nurture or it'll destroy. It's like, yeah, you've seen the National Geographic footage where the leopard kills the gazelle and then protects the baby from the hyenas.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
just that's nature and nurture. It's all create. It's
But with it protecting the animal, would you say that's learned behavior, or would you say it's innate nature?
oh, that would definitely just be its nature to not want to see the hyenas tear apart a little baby.
Okay.
But
what about us humans then? Do you think us humans have that same innate nature of wanting to do good, or do you? Because the thing is, the Christian perspective is that just so I'm pretty sure you know what the Christian perspective is, but I'll just remind you is the fact that we are all innately sinners because of the first sin. Is that something you prescribe to in your flavor of Christianity, or is that something you kind of like disagree with?
that's kind of a hard one.
I asked the tough questions here, buddy. I asked the tough questions
Yeah,
here.
yeah, no, that's fine. I like them. But I would just I don't think I think there are people that are born in this world that are capable of just having a very peaceful, loving nature their entire lives.
Hmm.
And then I believe there's people that are born full on destructor mode. Like there's just no getting around it. They just had that evil streak in them their entire lives, and then
You don't think
most
that would be?
everybody else.
You don't think that would be learned behavior?
Uh, no, I really don't. I think
Hmm.
there are people that are born with a screw loose, I guess you would call it, and not necessarily all there or whatever. I mean, some of the we've all watched, the documentaries on the serial killers, and a lot of them had perfectly fine upbringings. And
Hmm.
then I was just watching. There's been some really awesome podcasts as of late, the last 5 years or so that really get into the heads of these war fighters, that actually went into war and had to handle business. And
Such as Genghis Khan and stuff, or others?
no, 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 no. I'm talking about actual like U.S. warfighters that were in like Fallujah or like, and then they come back and they've been doing like a lot of podcasts, and you kind of hear about their life stories. And a
Hmm.
lot of those people, some of them have some horrendous childhoods,
Hmm.
and then they end up in the military and end up, racking up a bunch of bodies for the good old Uncle Sam, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, it's definitely a I don't necessarily think, I mean, that's a learned behavior when you go into the military and
Yeah.
you get trained to fight. So obviously, but I think that, every person's different, and there's different, you know, we're like the humanity is like the colors of the rainbow, like
No, for sure.
colors of reality.
I
It's
think
like,
I think everyone has a different flavor to themselves, but the way I see it is that everyone, regardless of like who's the worst evil most person evil, sorry, who's the most evil person you could think of?
I would tend to put that right in line with one of the Roman emperors, like maybe like Caligula or something,
Sweet,
where they would just figure out the most horrendous ways of
punishing you or whatever.
yeah, making people pass for their own, for their own psychological, benefit. A
Okay,
lot of
no, it's a good example. So Caligula, even though he did all that craziness, he still, when he was at home with his family, he wanted truth, love, compassion, contentment, humility, and hope from his family, right? And he would have given that to his family as well. Oop. Or is he known as a complete tyrant even with his family?
yeah, I have no idea. I haven't
Ah,
read up on him enough. I just heard that he had figured out special ways of making humanity miserable prior to dying. And to me, a person like that takes that kind of intellectual view towards misery and murdering of people.
mm.
I don't know if they're really capable of what you were saying, them being all wonderful dad at home. Usually,
No, but they're obviously they're human beings, and we as human beings are all social creatures, regardless of how much of a propensity you have towards evil. They still would want some kind of resemblance of compassion or humility or hope in their life, or truth or love, even if it's from their wives. You know what I mean? Or their children.
I hear you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about those historical characters and what their home life was like. As
Because
far as
my argument is that everyone is born with these, but then obviously as they experience life, maybe like those Jeffrey Dahmer or whatever documentaries you mentioned earlier, yeah, they may have had a good home life, meaning that they were given the basics. You know, they had all this. They had a house over their head. They had a roof over their head. They had two parents. The parents both worked. You know, to anyone who's looking at statistics, they're like, "Oh, look, everything's fine." But we don't know about the interaction they would have had with their parents, the actual day-to-day running of their lives. We get a broad overview of like, oh yeah, tick 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 tick, they had all these things. Oh, why did they turn out horrible? But we don't understand their actual experience in life growing up. Maybe they were bullied in school, maybe they were the loner, maybe they were the popular kid, and they ended up letting the power get to their head. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. There's like a bunch of million different reasons that someone could end up taking that particular path to become a Jeffrey Dahmer type person, rather than it being in their nature. You've got kids, you said, right? How many kids do you have?
I got three girls.
Three. Oh, handful. A handful. Damn. I'm sorry to hear that. But
Yes,
congratulations at the
it's
same
something
time.
else.
It's amazing to have a family. Sorry?
I said yes, it's something else.
But with those three, like, even though they've had the same upbringing, each one has had a different experience with the parents, with the school, with their friends. You know, each one has lived a different life, even though they've come from the same background. You know, on paper, you'd go, oh, yeah, look, mum and dad working. Oh, look, parents were together and all that stuff, all the box ticking. On paper, all three would be identical, but then when you look deeper into it, you'd start realizing that, hey, wait a second, this child suffered from this child suffered from that, and that child didn't have any issues. They were able to quite blend in quite nicely. Do you see what I'm?
Yeah, I
Hmm?
yeah, yeah, everybody has their own different experience in life, even if within the same household,
Mm-hmm.
you could definitely come out with really devastatingly different outcomes sometimes. I mean, look at those families ravaged by the fentanyl situation, where
Hmm.
There's just a lot of times they're just so these people are just so addicted. There's just no way of and I live in a state in the US where you can't even as a family member, you're not allowed to you know, legally make them be committed to a uh rehab facility, you know.
Oh.
So if one of my girls, I already tell my girls, you know, you get involved in something like that, you know, you're really putting those people who got you addicted, you're putting their lives at risk.
Hmm.
And that's how I try to help them guide. You don't want to see those people that you like so much that get you to do these hardcore drugs and get you addicted. You want them to, not get their flame extinguished, correct? And then they're
Exactly.
like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I say, all right, good. I hope you do, because that essentially that's an attack on my child's life to try to, get them to do something. Kids over here in America, they take a Valium. They think
Hmm.
it's a Valium, and then their parents go in their room the next day, and it's a cold body.
Oh,
I
damn.
couldn't even imagine something like that happening to me.
No, that'd be horrific. That would be horrific. But
We were during our growth when we grew up. Yeah, people took a pill here and there, but there was never the threat of death over that one pill.
maybe a bad trip, but never death. Death.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely the oh, it's not working. It's not working. Okay, take some more. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I think for me growing up, it was over here in the UK, Valium and stuff, or like these hardcore drugs, isn't really a big thing. The worst thing that you'd probably get is probably cocaine. Uh, but the milder thing that everyone kind of tries is probably weed, marijuana. But most people don't typically go. They love to say how marijuana is a gateway drug, but I find that most people who start on marijuana don't actually go any further. It's usually when they go on the alcohol, they end up going to cocaine and then other things.
Oh yeah, I definitely see that correlation because you just lose your inhibitions
Mm,
with the alcohol. So then when something else shows up, you're more likely to jump on board with it because you're inebriated and you're not making correct
sound decisions,
decisions.
yeah.
Where the stoner is going to be like, oh, I don't know if I can handle that. They actually question things because they're paranoid.
Yeah,
Just just the marijuana itself will make you paranoid a little bit, and
yeah.
then you're like, oh, I don't know about that. You question yourself,
And it
and
kind of
then you
protects
end
you
up
in that
not doing
way.
it.
It protects you in that way. That's why when they call marijuana a gateway drug, I'm like, no, it's not really. Yes, it's something everyone tries, but then the ones that just try it and then stop and go to alcohol are the ones that are going to be pursuing other things. If you typically stay on marijuana, like you said, you get that paranoia and you don't want to try other things. You're like, no, do you know what? I'm good the way I am. I'm good. I like this high. This high is good enough for me.
Exactly. Except for nowadays, with these dang new vape pens and the oils and stuff, you
Mhm.
try hitting something nowadays, you're like done for. Like it's not even the same thing
No,
as back when I was a kid.
no. I've noticed that. I think that's just because the tolerance build up. The tolerance build up.
It's not the tolerance buildup, it's the potency of the oils and stuff.
No, no,
That
no.
and the THC level's just so high.
No, I understand, but the reason that they're making the THC levels higher through the crossbreeding and then through instead of just smoking the bud, they condense it down to the oil, extract just the pure essential oils, is because they want that higher high, because the regular high isn't enough for them because of the tolerance they built up. They've slightly abused it where they've not
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
used it as a medicine or a way to kind of just enhance slightly. They've used it as a way to kind of numb themselves, and then at that point they need more stronger things to numb themselves, and that's what I
Yep.
think is leading that market at the moment.
Absolutely. That's the same thing you find with the alcohol. You start. I was kind of a little asshole when I was a kid, and I ended up getting my hands on a whole bars worth of alcohol.
Damn.
And it would take like one bottle of 80 proof would get like 5 of my friends drunk. But by the time I got through that 1,000 bottles, I had to drink like an entire bottle of 101 proof wild turkey to get the same buzz that I did at the beginning of that whole. And somehow my body recovered from that. Thank goodness
Luckily,
I didn't
yeah.
end up being an alcoholic.
Or even getting alcohol poisoning, because that's the other. Yeah, your body builds up that tolerance to that buzz, but your body still has to break down that alcohol, and obviously you get alcohol poisoning from that.
Yeah. We did dangerous stuff when we were kids and didn't even quite realize it sometimes.
That's what I like about myself. I'm a cheap date. I'm like 2-3 drinks and I'm good. I feel a nice little buzz and I'm set. I don't need to. I want to remember the night. I don't want to forget the night. You know what I mean?
Well, I can't even understand. It was always an affordability issue with me. If I drank 15 drinks in one night, that would be like $500 bill. I didn't want to be paying no $500 bill. That's ridiculous. But I knew plenty of people that did it all the time, and I'm like, how do you even function financially? I can't even afford to drink like that. I have to be a lightweight.
You have no choice. Your pockets are empty enough. Yeah, no, I hear that. Especially when you're drinking out. When you're drinking out, yes, definitely. Well, me and my friends, we used to do this. I'm probably sure you did the same. We'd buy a bottle of 70 cl and we'd go down to the park and we'd make little shots for everyone. We'd drink for a couple of hours and then have a nice chat, have some mess around, do stupidness, and then we'd go home and relax for the evening.
Perfect night.
Exactly. Cheap as well. It's like one bottle, 4 of us, easy, job done. And I think myself and one other would stop drinking early as well. Sorry, was it?
Oh, I was just going to ask, so with my bombs I dropped on you yesterday, because obviously I know that my revelations about the Holy Spirit are unheard of, essentially, because I've looked back into all different sects of Christianity, and there really is nothing like that. I think there's Miaphysitism or something.
Never heard
where
of that.
that Miaphysites are like part of or maybe they're like the Coptics. They're Christians, and they have like a higher, more of a mystical understanding of the Holy Spirit, and they have like some really deep prayers to Mary that kind of show that she might be above just a creature, like all the Christians say about her.
Okay.
They put some in their prayers. They put some really mystical stuff in there that really tells you that maybe this character they're talking about could quite possibly be not just a creature like everybody wants to say she is. And that, but then there's also the Coloridians. Have you heard of that? Coloridians?
No, I've not heard of that one either. I'm guessing they're from Colorado?
No, not at all. They're actually, it was out of the Arabic Peninsula, and they were a bunch of women. And what they started doing is they started making like Mary more of like an Asherah goddess figure. And then they started baking these little cakes. And then when they would take the Eucharist of Christ, they would also take this little cake for essentially like another offering for Mary. So they would do a ritual sacrifice for Mary along with the regular Eucharist of Christ. And then that ended up being considered a heresy. And that's because, if you understand what I figured out, in that Mary's soul pre-existed her just like her son's soul pre-existed him. And you bring her soul into the Trinity as the Holy Ghost, then she's already in the Eucharist. You
Mhm.
don't need to add another cake or
Mhm.
do another ritual.
So
When you take the body and blood in the Eucharist, you're getting the Trinity.
that's what I was going to say. So you believe that she's part of the Trinity anyway. So you don't actually worship Mary separately. You just worship the one Trinity version, the singular
Ex-
God, which is the
exactly.
combination of the three. But you just
And the
got a
only thing,
deeper understanding of what those three are.
exactly. And the only thing I do different is like, have you ever noticed in ancient, like Renaissance paintings, you get all these different Christ hand gestures?
Yes, I've
Like,
seen loads. This one's my favorite one. I've seen them, the rock, the rock, the devil sign. I've seen that in
oh,
quite
yeah.
a few of them.
You've seen that? I don't ever see that one. That one's
Really?
different. That one's definitely different to
No,
me.
no, I've seen it. It's usually like this. It's usually like this. They'll be holding a book in one hand, and then they'll be standing there like that and pointing or something or doing something.
Oh, okay.
Last time I saw that was in an Orthodox church.
Well, there was definitely. So the thing about the Christian church that's kind of peculiar than any other religion on earth, and
Mm-hmm.
that I've found through all my studies, is throughout the centuries, it's obviously only been 2 centuries old, but regardless, every couple hundred years, there seems to be a really vicious attack on that church. And through all the Marian apparitions, she explains it as, the smoke of Satan will attack the church.
Mm-hmm.
Why will the smoke of Satan attack the church? Because Satan hates God. I mean, it's really simple,
Does he though?
And,
Does he though? Does he hate God?
well, of course he does. What he wanted to become God, and it didn't work out for him, and he got banished out of heaven because he was created perfect and got to live the life of a perfect angel.
Mm-hmm.
But he was possessed, he was corrupted, I feel he was possessed by that entity I spoke of yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And that corruption allowed basically created his hardened heart, his neckedness,
Mm-hmm.
that ended up, getting a third of the angels to come down to earth, because he literally had to convince them, if we go down to earth, we'll be like God. And God said, okay, these are my children. These are the dumb ones, obviously, and go ahead, And then that's where you get stories about, Enoch being the mediator between God and the fallen angels, and him having to go down and tell the fallen angels, hey, it's done. You made your decision. You made your bed. Now you're lying in it. So now
So you accept the Book of Enoch then?
I do believe, I'm a layman, okay? So I'm not.
So don't worry. So am I. It's just.
I personally do. I personally do believe
It's
there's
just because I
truths.
had a Christian on the other day. I don't know if you've seen him, Adam. Here I am. His name's Adam, and he's got his own channel called Here I Am, Lord Send Me, or The Truth Is Not Subjective. And he was saying that the Book of Enoch is satanic and it's not accepted by the church. So that's why I was just curious as to your position.
So the thing about the Book of Enoch is there's 3 different books,
Mm-hmm.
and guess what? In the actual lineage of humanity from Adam,
Mm-hmm.
there was a Enoch that was sired by Cain,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was the 7th from Adam. So 7 generations on the the good side, because on
Abel?
the Sethian side,
Okay.
no, because I don't think he had kids before he died. I think that Abel's line pretty much died.
Mm-hmm.
So then all the other line is all Sethian. So they're all from the children of Seth.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 down, for the number 7th male was Enoch. And that Enoch, I believe, was the first to walk in God's righteousness on earth. And that's why he ended up, and I'm way into ancient Jewish religion, right? And in the ancient Jewish religion, that particular Enoch, the one that was righteous, God loved him so much because of his righteousness that he was like a mediator between the fallen angels and God. And he had to tell the fallen angels that y'all done, there's no going back from what you did. What you did, it's a done deal, basically. But then he also got brought into heaven to become the scribe of Yahweh. And when he got brought into heaven in these ancient stories of Jewish writings, when he became into heaven and became the scribe of Yahweh, you now have a human that was given the ability to live amongst the angels. So now you have a different character up there. This is like an angelic human, essentially. Like maybe you would think of it as like the first glorified person, I suppose.
I was going to say, would that
because
not
he
make him
never
a
died.
Jesus equivalent?
It wouldn't be Jesus equivalent, because he was born of humanity, and through his righteousness of being human, he was human, and he was able to transcend his own iniquities through, us being humans and making mistakes. Somehow he was able to transcend that enough to become best friends with Yahweh. So then they changed his name to Metatron. So once Metatron was in heaven, Jesus, God's best friend, essentially, he was made higher than the angels because he was a human in heaven. So you have Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. Those are archangels. They're super powerful. But could you imagine a human getting brought up into heaven and then a glorified body and given all the power of over all the angels? Have you heard of Metatron before?
I've heard of Metatron. I thought he was an angel. I think people have referred to him as an angel.
He is an angel, but he was an angel that was brought from earth, and it was Enoch.
And is this
That's
the same
the
Enoch who is
difference.
the son of Methuselah?
Yes, that's the same line, the Sethian line.
Cool.
Because then there's the other Enoch who, a lot of I don't know how to really quite say it, but there's like these ancient, mystical traditions that some would say are like Luciferian, these secret societies. And essentially, like back when Rome fell, the European nations, they based all their kings and nobles were basically the remnants of the fallen Rome. Because Rome, all their pagan higher ups that had all the money, they fled from the area because the Christians were, you know what I mean? They were coming up, doing their thing, being all peaceful, and the religion of the women, children, and slaves is what they called it, But they exited from Rome because Rome fell, and they were, getting ransacked and everything and losing all their wealth. So what they did is they moved far away from Rome to the left, which is to the west. And that's where you end up with the kings of England, France, and Spain. And
okay, so you're saying the kings of England, France, and Spain were from the Sethian line?
I don't know if they were necessarily from the Sethian line, but they were pagan. They were essentially pagan believers.
Okay.
Because they believed in all the pagan gods, very similar to the Hindu gods, right? Where there's like a whole pantheon of different characters.
Hmm.
All those different pantheon of different characters, they all come from one true substance.
Yeah.
And that truth, where do you think that truth lies in reality?
Beyond the veil.
No, it was actually physical reality. So the reason all of those pantheon of characters were repeated from Greece to Mesopotamia to Hindu to,
Nordic.
all over
Hmm.
everywhere,
Hmm.
is because there was an actual physical truth behind all those gods and all those mythical quote unquote characters. The reason there was a basis in reality is because of the fallen angels. There was 200 fallen angels that were not supposed to interact with humanity, but they are obviously the children of God that never listened to God and disrespected God. And then that's when you get into them becoming the gods of humans. Because if a human runs into a fallen angel, you're going to automatically think that that fallen angel is God, because it's so much powerful, so much more powerful than humanity. Like,
But
a human would automatically assume it's a god.
I'm just kind of confused. So the angels are messengers, and messengers obviously passing on a message from God to humanity. So in that instance, they would be interacting with humanity. Is it the fact that it wasn't just about the interaction? It's the fact that they took wives that was the issue, or was it just the fact that they interacted?
So what happened with these particular fallen angels, when they got banished from heaven,
Hmm.
I personally couldn't. I tried, applying logic to this a little bit. I believe they lost their glorified bodies essentially, and they ended up on Earth as like, angelic beings, but like have like a physical nature to them now, because they got kicked out of heaven and were forced to live on Earth with humanity. But they were told to leave the humans alone.
Hmm.
That's why they were called the Watchers in the book of Enoch, because they weren't supposed to, teach us astrology, metalworking, beautification, all the different, I believe some of the herbal arts are probably not a bad thing. I think that there was
I was gonna
probably
say
some
all of these
herbal.
things are the things that have led society to where we are today. I thought these were good things.
Yes, no, they're definitely science, and they're definitely
Back then,
um
people would have called it witchcraft or whatever, but yeah, now we'd call it science or understanding
yeah, I
nature.
mean, yeah, but you gotta. So if we never got that information, from those fallen angels, we would be more in line with what the creator had in store for us.
Hmm.
What he had in store for us got ruined, obviously, by, the what happened in the Garden of Eden. And we don't have any like, we didn't cause that to happen. We just have to deal with
Oh, you've just
the
thrown
ramifications.
a wrench in the spanner of my brain. You've just thrown a wrench of a spanner into my brain now, because now I'm like, okay, so it wasn't the angels' fault. The angels were just trying to teach humanity, and they didn't do anything bad. They weren't rebelling against God. They were just trying to teach humanity, hey, listen, if you want to live on this planet and you want to understand the planet a bit more, here's some knowledge.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
I
first
understand. Yeah,
sin would have been Adam and Eve sinning, and that was the issue. It wasn't the actual angels helping them, is it?
it's so that's a way of looking at it. But me personally,
Hmm.
these angels that chose to turn their back on their creator
Hmm.
and got banished um I talked about it yesterday with you a little bit, when I told you that some of these angels, I believe, are like, what do you call it, when they're neutral, where they
Hmm.
don't want to hurt human, they don't want to not listen to God anymore. They believe they made a mistake, and then they heard from Enoch that there's no retribution. There's no forgiveness for that mistake.
Mhm.
And they're kind of, just sad and don't want to, necessarily cause humans any grief or any problems. But then you have the other ones that are pure evil, and then those are the ones that everything has a spectrum, right? So the fallen angels have a spectrum.
No, I
There's
can
going to
understand that.
be evil ones, and there's 200 of them.
Well,
So
I can
out
understand
of
the spectrum thing, but I just, once again, like I said, because it's not the spectrum that I'm having an issue with. It's the fact that the evil ones are evil because they gave humanity knowledge on how to do science, how to make things, and I think
yeah,
those are, part of like the journey of life. I think that's something that we would slowly come to anyway. It's just that they maybe press the accelerator pedal a little bit for us, rather
yeah,
than.
they definitely did that. But you got to understand, when he sent them down here in the book of Enoch,
Mm,
they were literally told not to interact with us. They were supposed to just, if you want to watch them, go ahead. And they were called the Watchers.
mhm,
They weren't supposed to be like saving us from falling off of a cliff or interacting with us in any way. They were literally just supposed to have the same dwelling space on earth as us and have nothing to do with us, because we're not the same. An angelic being living on earth is not even close to the same nature or under their knowledge. Just, we were like ants to an angelic fallen angel, right?
mhm, mhm,
So for them to teach us anything, all it did was pump up their pride, because you have this little ant going, teach me. And it's exactly what God did not want, that interaction.
mhm,
And yeah, sure, we might have been able to figure out all the stars and figure out metallurgy and what ores make what metals. And,
mhm,
we might have figured that all out eventually, but that wasn't God's goal for us on this earth. I personally believe that we're supposed to be like in little family units living off the land,
mhm,
essentially like living a life of camping, like
mhm,
basically like the Native Americans used to.
mhm.
And obviously that don't even work out either, because you have Native Americans prior to colonialism enslaving each other, going on raids,
Yeah.
just evil is,
You
you
can't get rid of
know,
the fact that we've got free will and we could do whatever the hell we like, and some people will do
yeah, but
things
the
that are
free
bad.
will in combination with evil is where the problem arises. Free will is not bad if everything we do is like Enoch,
Hmm.
where he was perfectly righteous. And if we had a million perfectly righteous men, we would be living, worshiping our creator and worshiping our family after the creator, and everything would just be beautiful. But due to that free will in combination with the deceiver who likes to lie and get us to do naughty things,
That's my
next thing
job.
you know, we're up shit creek without a paddle.
But that's part of the plan. The way I see it is God is all powerful. He's all knowing. Um, let's say, for an example, God drops a pebble into a pond. He knows which ripples are going to be there, how long they're going to be for, and everything. Before he's even thrown it, he knows exactly what effect it's going to have, because he has foreknowledge. He knows everything. So he knew the plan was going to be like this, and he was just playing his role in that plan of, oh, you naughty little children. But secretly he was like, oh, do you know what, they're on the right path, because otherwise he'd just destroy it and start again at any point. He's got that power. He could just go, okay, do you know what, let's erase this and let's start again. This is getting a bit too messy, let's just start again. And apparently he did with Noah, so he could do this at any point.
Yeah, but the reason that the deluge happened is because humanity. All right, well, you obviously know the story about what the fallen angels created
Mhm.
with humanity, the abomination of the Nephilim.
Mhm.
And those Nephilim basically, between Satan's possession of humanity and the Nephilim running around eating everybody and killing everything,
Mhm.
he basically had to hit the restart button, because look at what was going on. The Nephilim had eaten all of the creatures of the earth for the
Mhm.
most part,
Mhm.
and were eating humans. Humans were so demonized that they were just slaughtering each other, and there was just no order in the world. There was only those 8 people worthy of being saved, and everybody else had to hit the reset button. And that's why, why would a good God kill all those people? Well, it was a favor, because if they didn't drown in the deluge and be their souls, taken to heaven, the
Mhm.
innocent souls taken to heaven,
Mhm.
then they would have had a life of getting their limbs ripped off by a monster or a human, taking advantage of them, or whatever's, kind of demonic nonsense could happen to those people.
Okay.
But he chose to open the gate. Who knows where that gate happened, how that water, came from another dimension or whatever.
Mhm.
And the deluge happened. And then the 7 or 8 people survived. I don't know exactly the number, but regardless, he had to do that because it got so bad. And it's because he allowed free will to manifest itself. And because the angels were on earth with humanity, it got bad really fast. Those angels turned their back on God, so they were dark angels. They were not the angel. It wasn't Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel that were on earth
Mhm.
teaching everybody how to make, go get the special plant that you can wipe your ass with or whatever. It's like it was evil was teaching humans. So when you have evil educating humans, what is the outcome going to be? Yeah, God probably knew what the outcome was going to be, but he had to let it play out because
Did he though?
he's not an
Did he though?
interventionist.
He is
Yeah,
with he was with Noah. An interventionist with Noah. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
It's picking and choosing when he intervenes. So if he truly wanted, like for example, let's say Adam and Eve ate the apple and he went, "Oh, do you know what? Reset. Let's do this again. Reset at the beginning because I can foresee where this is in their head, and I'm going, nope, let's reset." But he let it play it out, and the way I would see it is he let it play out because it was part of the plan in order to have those 7 or 8 people that he did save.
and that's true. That's the way to look at it. You got to understand the original creation story. He created all of physical reality for the ability to create children that would love him.
Mm-hmm.
And the him isn't a one being, it's a family unit. So the Trinity is the Father, the female entity, and the Son.
Mm-hmm.
That's a family dynamic right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to create humanity to then love, there'd be like I don't know if he did it to watch a movie or if he did it for entertainment or I
Or
think
if
he
he did
did
it as
it
a favor to
to,
us, he did it as a favor
no,
to us so we could experience life.
yeah, that is kind of what he did. It is kind of a favor to us, but he did it because he wants recognition for the creation of everything.
Do you think do you think he wants recognition or just a connection with people?
I think he wants a love connection with his children, and we should love him for what he's created for us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some people's lives are worse than others, but when you close your eyes and you feel the sun on your face,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're kind of like you can bring yourself down to the basics of what it's supposed to be.
You get
You
rid of the nurture and you go back to nature. Lovely, lovely roundabout to get back to where we started. I love it.
There you go. Perfect.
And I think that's perfectly timed as well because it's 8:58. This is why I love God. This is why I just go with the flow and I trust God because it always works out in the end, you know. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. I really appreciate you again coming up and sharing your thoughts and your perspective. It's always enlightening. It's always interesting to hear different perspectives, and especially yours because it's very not the mainstream Christianity, like you said. It is quite a unique flavor, which I think is quite interesting.
And I really appreciate you allowing me to talk to you about it because, I got to have a release somewhere. My own children, they're Catholics,
Oh,
and when they hear me saying Mary's part of the Trinity, they think I'm crazy, because they got raised, and I understand why. I completely
mhm,
understand why. I haven't sat down with them and showed them. First off, if I tried to, they'd run right away from me with
mhm.
like their hair's on fire. But I mean, it's just I appreciate this ability to get my revelation out because I do believe that if you look at the trajectory of Christianity,
Mhm.
there has been like it started off here in the early church, and then all of a sudden there's this new doctrine about Mary's ascension and how she died, and that's not really in the Bible, but we're going to go ahead and make it an actual Catholic doctrine that we need to believe. And then
Be careful though.
everybody
Be
in
care.
that church believes that.
Yeah, no, for sure. But be careful though, because who knows? In a few thousand years' time, they might say Jeffrey, the fallen angel, who came down and he started teaching people these things that they weren't ready for yet.
Well, I mean, it's not, I would never personally, I've read all the stories in the Bible, and
Yeah.
every time a human bows prostrate to an angel, the angel would always say, "Get up off your feet. I'm
Mm.
not worthy of worship. I'm I'm lower than you piece of shit human. So get up." But there was a certain angel named the angel of the Lord, or Adonai,
Mhm.
that did accept worship
Oh.
because that was God representing himself as an angel, which that angel is that third verse in the Bible that I was telling you about yesterday. The fire, the light, the eternal light of creation.
AKA Jesus. Is that what you believe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. AKA Jesus. Pre-existent, the soul of Jesus before he took a physical body. And I can prove everything through scripture, and
Mhm.
there are some extra books that I have to get into for like the Marian miraculous birth, the Immaculate Conception, because
Mhm.
my entire life I thought the Immaculate Conception was when Mary conjured up Jesus in her belly. But I
Mhm.
was wrong my whole life. It was when Mary was brought into her mother's belly.
Mhm.
And if you read the story about that, her mother was barren her whole life, and her father was a priest in the temple. And
Mhm.
if you're a woman in the temple that hasn't had a child your whole life, you're looked down upon.
Mhm. Mhm.
They think of you as like being accursed.
Yeah.
And guess what? Joachim, her father, went on a 40-day fast into the desert, and he ended up running into Gabriel. Gabriel told him, if you go be with your wife, the angel, not the angel, sorry, but God Almighty will overshadow you and you will have a child. So Mary's birth is a miraculous birth. It's not a virgin birth, but it's miraculous to me nonetheless. And that seed that was placed, in her mother's womb became a young lady. And that young lady was dedicated to the temple. So she lived in the temple her whole life,
Mhm.
had very little interaction with kids from the outside, and then she ended up having the angel come and say, "You're going to give birth to Emmanuel, God with us."
Mhm.
And then another miraculous birth happened. Jesus.
So 2 immaculate births. Interesting.
Well,
Interesting.
essentially, yeah. One's the birth of I call it the immaculate birth of Mary, and then the birth of the sacred heart of Jesus, because everything with Jesus is about his sacred heart.
Meaning his pure heart, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, Jesus is God in the flesh, so I mean it's the Trinity in the flesh, and then his mother was, I believe, also part of that story. Like she was the helper. She had to help him come to physical existence through being born through her physical body, or we would have never had our salvation if she never bore him. Even in the Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, and it says, "Blessed art you amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." So that's 2 blesseds. Both blesseds are the same. They're the same deification of this human that is here for our salvation. Blessed are you amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. Like Jesus is also the other. They're both equally blessed, because we needed both of them for Jesus to be able to live the life of a human.
Interesting. Once again, Jeffrey, full of knowledge, absolutely full of knowledge. It's really interesting to hear your perspective. I really appreciate it again. Thank you so much for coming up again. And yeah, you're more than welcome to come up anytime and share your thoughts. Hopefully, if I do a stream tomorrow, it will be a little bit longer. Hopefully, it'll be a bit longer tomorrow, and then we could have a full discussion if you're about.
And if you could set up that little drawing thing, because all I need is like a little triangle drawing, and that'll show you the first 3 verses of the Bible. Then it'll just break down to masculine and feminine, and I can break it. Water is the feminine, fire is the masculine, the light is the fire, the spirit is the water, and it's just totally breaks down right down the middle.
Awesome.
So I'll be talking to you tomorrow, possibly.
Fingers crossed, and hopefully, because like I said, I go with the flow. So I'd love to say yes, we're definitely going to do that, but I go with whatever's coming to me at the time. And if some other subject comes to me, like today it was nature versus nurture, I kind of have to go with the flow and trust God's bigger plan rather than just...
Oh, absolutely. The discernment of the Holy Spirit's strong with you.
Be careful with that. I am a self-proclaimed son of perdition as well, so you know, a lot of Christians would disagree with you.
Now,
but thank you for the kind words,
you're doing God's work, obviously.
Or Satan's. We'll find out one day.
All right. You have a good rest of your day.
You too, pal. Take care, man. Have a good one. Bye.
God bless.
Alrighty, that was Jeffrey. Very interesting fella. He's always got a lot of interesting things to say, a lot of interesting takes on Christianity, which I like. I like not hearing the standard Christian rhetoric. I like hearing a bit of a unique perspective. That's the whole point of the channel. Let's hear all the different perspectives out there. Let's pick each other's brains a bit and see where everyone else is at the time when you know what I mean? See where everyone else is at the same time, and then we could try and learn from each other. I'm going to read the last few comments. There's not a lot. D says, we know that we are not in control of our own lives. Good movie. I turn up on my side. Catherine says, someone posted something on Facebook showing the admiration for each other at a ceremony. He said they've been friends for a time. Okay, cool. In regards to Keanu Reeves and Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey. D says, you don't have the born again, but we will see prayers. Oh, that was in regards to the comment she said earlier. She said something about, here it is. D, you already know you have the drawing of the Spirit. And I was like, do I? Do I really? Do I? Cool, thank you. What is the comments? D says, Allah Jen torture. Oh, I think that's in regards to Aladdin. She's saying it's Allah Jen, meaning Allah's a jinn. I never heard that one before, not gonna lie. I don't know why it's torture. D says probably leave before you start talking about Jah, not sticking around for work base and worshipping idols. Have a limitation on what I listen to. Sorry, Jeffrey, not feeding to the soul. Sorry you feel like that, Gossie. Sorry you feel like that. I think it's interesting. And that's what I like. I like interesting conversations, interesting perspectives. It's not always going to resonate. Like, I may not have to agree with Jeffrey 100%, but I can still listen to him and try and understand his perspective, you know. It's not going to harm me in any way. As long as you've got discernment if you're listening. If you're listening, you have to have your own mind. You can't be easily swayed one way or the other. You have to be able to think for yourself. D says the word does not say anything about masculine and feminine in the Godhead. Okay, that's what she has an issue with. Interesting. D says, bye all, have a good evening. Take care, D. Appreciate you being here for as long as you were. Catherine says, bye. D says, trying to take the Holy Ghost as Mary, garbage in, garbage out. The Holy Ghost comforter is called He. Okay, she's in that in John 14:26, but the comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, from whom the Father will send in my name, so he shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. Speaks he shall, no she shall. Cults are deceiving. It's a perspective. You know. It's always interesting. Regardless. But yeah, the thing is with the scriptures, I'm sure you could find scriptures like that say you are not saved by works, and then you'll have one that says that you are not saved by faith, and then you'll have one that says you are saved by works, and then you'll have one that says you are saved by faith, all in the one book. So sometimes it can get confusing, especially if you pick and choose verses. You have to read the thing in context from a higher perspective rather than just the words on the page sometimes. So that's why I said, do you know what? I can understand. He said that yesterday. He said when you look at the Hebrew has the masculine and the feminine wording. So, you know, it's a different perspective. It's a different perspective than reading it in English, because English is a limited language. Well, all languages are limited, but you know what I mean. It's more limited than others. It's a very simple language. Not complicated, but simple. It's an oxymoron. It's like I saw this little joke the other day. There was someone saying that how like the English language is funny because the way you write words and the way you say words are different. There's some words that are spelt where the letters are only for the paper. They're only for the paper. You don't say those words. For example, knight, as in like King Arthur and his knights of the Round Table. Knight. When you're writing it, you write it with a Knight. But if you're saying it, you don't go knight, you say knight. Some letters are just for the paper, and some are... I thought that was hilarious, and I think it kind of illustrates that language is quite limited, and we do our best with it. But unfortunately, it will never truly express exactly what's going on inside, you know. It's the best we could do. And the English language is simple but confusing. Then D's dropped a bunch of thingies. Scriptures, Bible botting. Thank you. D says, who is my mother and brothers and sisters? Jesus asked them, then answered. But he answered. What did he answer? But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother and who are my brethren? For whosoever shall do the will of God, the same is my brother and my sister and my mother. D says, do not entertain garbage, that is me. I don't want to be emptying trash, I have treasures. Catherine says, Gossie, I do understand Jesus is the word. Bird is the word. Bird is the word. Yeah, no, I'm messing. I know you mean Jesus, but bird's the word. Do you reckon Bird is the Word song was a bit of a psyop to get people away from Jesus is the word? Conspiracy theories. Anyways, D says, saved by grace, works cannot do enough, but your fruit will show you will do the will of the Father. Father. Luke, I am your father. Shivites is here, says big up, big up, big up. Alrighty, and that's the stream, ladies and gentlemen. That is the stream. Like I said, it was a short one today. Short and sweet, the way I like it. Actually, no, I like a long stream too. I'm not going to lie. But today's nice to do a nice short one. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Tomorrow is Wednesday. You're halfway through the week. If you're having a tough week so far, you're almost there, you know. It could only get better now. It could only get better. If you're having a good week so far, keep it on that upward spiral. Keep it on the upward spiral and keep thinking positivity. Think about truth, love, compassion, contentment, humility, and hope. And try and enjoy the rest of your week, regardless of what you're doing. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for another interesting, well, I find them interesting. Hopefully you guys find these streams interesting too. If you do find them interesting, hit the like button. If you don't find them interesting, do you know what? Hit the like button anyway. Just hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. But that's it for now. D says, glad for this short stream, DD. Little sick on the stomach. Oh, sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. But like I said, it's interesting to hear different perspectives. The way I see it is, if you understand their perspective, you understand how to talk to people with this perspective. You understand where they're coming from. You know, instead of butting heads all the time, you're able to actually communicate because you're like, okay, I see where you're coming from with this because you've said this and you can't take it from this. And it's the same thing with the reason I went to Speaker's Corner in the beginning. The reason I went to Speaker's Corner was I understood what I understood about Islam, but I wanted to understand what the Muslims understood about Islam. I wanted to understand what the Christians understood about Christianity, the ones that are actually living their lives by it. I wanted to see what they said about it. And what I learned was that I could talk to 10 Muslims and they'll give me slightly different answers. I'll talk to 10 Christians and they'll give me slightly different answers. Everyone's got their own interpretation or understanding. Doesn't mean that they're all right, but it just means that now I understand that this one text can be read in many different ways where people will take what they want to take. And I have to try and figure out what it is that they've taken in order to then communicate with them. So it's never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. D says cults are nauseating. Sorry you feel like that, but like I said, it is what it is. And I'm going to say my favorite line. That's a you problem. But I appreciate the Bible botting. And the last Bible bot says, John 8:32, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And on that beautiful note, I shall see you when I see you next. Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Lovers, haters, ninjas, and commenters. Hope you guys have an amazing evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I shall see you when I see you next. I am the dust at the feet of God's servants. Only God is special. Bye.
I'm nothing, I'm nobody. Just a dreamer lost in time. Moving through the noise around me, trying to find a sign. I've walked this road with only hope, chasing echoes in the night. Every step a little broken, but still I hold on tight. Break this heart of stone, bring me from the dead. Fill me with your light, I wanna shine so bright. Take my eyes to see, take my life to live. I don't wanna be unless you're by my side. I was forever alone, except for you in my heart. You showed me the world, you showed me my soul. No more fear, no more falling, no more nights spent calling. With you here, I'm alive, with you I'm free. Break this heart of stone, bring me from the dead. Fill me with your light, I wanna shine so bright. Take my eyes to see, take my life to live. I don't wanna be unless you're by my side. Break this heart of stone, bring me from the dead. Fill me with your light, I wanna shine so bright. Take my my eyes to see, take my life to live. I don't want to be unless you're by my side. I was forever alone. No, no, except for you in my heart. You showed me my hope. Take my eyes to see, take my life to live. I don't want to be unless you're by my side. I was nothing, now I'm something. Now